Welcome to Cupcakes and Hot Takes with Maral and John. I'm John.
And I'm Maral.
And welcome to episode 1 of our... Oh, there goes our cat, Legion. Here is episode 1 of our new series that we're starting. So our series will be... we're going to be watching a bunch of movies and, just talking about them, rating them, things like that.
Our list comes from the IMDB 100 best movies.
Speaking of which, this thing needs to get expanded.
We started with The Godfather. We promise we only have 2 cats. We're not that crazy. They just both decided to come hang out.
Yes. And so we started, as Maral said, with The Godfather. If you look on the top corner, we're supposed to start with Shawshank, but we didn't have it at the time. So that'll be coming up soon.
Once again, I am asking for Shawshank Redemption. I say that because I've asked my family for it like 4 times now. And every single member of my family is like, yes, we own it. We have it. We will bring it to you. And they let me down once again.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Family.
At least we own The Godfather. So we started with that.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it. So The Godfather premiered in theaters in 1972. And the original author of the original book his name was Mario Puzo. Fun fact: he only sold the rights to for the Godfather for $80,000.
Wow.
This was before it got big. Because of the movie, it got big. So he didn't think it was worth that much.
Always get a percentage cut.
Yes.
Always get a percentage.
Yes. But let's go into a quick synopsis, Maral.
I was actually gonna really quickly start with like the background of your personal experience with this film because I grew up watching this several times and
you don't want to do a quick synopsis and then we go into it?
Okay, fine. Sorry, my bad. The synopsis. It's about a gangster family in 70s America, and the reluctant anti-hero coming into the family business after the patriarch suffers his demise.
Yeah, so mobster movie. Arguably one of the original big ones, that came out. Granted, there's Scarface that came out, and there's original Scarface that came out the 40s, I think.
Really?
Yeah, and so there's always been gangster movies, but The Godfather was really the first big one that really hit. But yeah, so that's a real quick synopsis. But what's your grade on it?
Well, my grade is based on Cupcakes, hence the Cupcakes. So I'm gonna give it 9.2 Cupcakes out of 10.
9.2. Me, I'll give it 9 Cupcakes out of 10. Or with the letter, an A minus. Very solid film. A lot of parts that I like. There were a couple of things. It's a perfect film. There are some problems with it. Hence, here comes the hot takes. But just a fair warning, moving forward, we will be talking about the movie. There's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, you just want to hear the grade and our initial thoughts about the movie, stop now.
But listen, you've had since 1972 to watch it, so...
Yeah, so...
If you haven't seen it by now.
Tough shit. Alright, well, let's get right into it.
Alright.
So... The movie, right, it opens up this very iconic scene, parodied, reused over and over and over again. What I love about, the whole opening scene, I think is, it's not only, it's simple, it's powerful, but it sets the tone for the entire movie.
It also sets the visual tone. Not just the literal tone, but the visual tone. It's very good at being stylized. Mm-hmm. It's very pretty. It's very dark. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Fun fact about the opening scene with Marlon Brando: that cat that he's holding was not originally meant to be in the shot. Marlon Brando just found the cat, and he's like, you know what? I want to hold this cat while filming this scene. So the whole time he just found this random cat and just started holding it, petting it during the scene. And that's arguably one of the most famous cats in the history of mankind.
Every time I watch that scene, I'm always like, I wish I was that cat. Oh, to be held by Marlon Brando.
Yeah, the cat with his 11 kids, 8 kids, or
he has a lot of
however
children.
many
He has
kids
a lot
has.
of children.
Hey, if you're rich, right? More power to you, and you can support them all. But yeah, just going in more into the movie. Another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie is just its ability to just switch back and forth between, there's all these very serious scenes, and then there's scenes of where you're a bit more relaxed. It really, not only does it help cut the tension, but it also builds up the tension. It makes the more awe-inspiring scenes a lot more impactful. Because you kind of have like that lull and then you have that high. If you see other movies where it's just constantly high, you get dulled to it. In my opinion, a perfect example of this is, right in the beginning, there's, the opening scene. The guy, he's describing that his daughter was raped, right? Brutally raped, and he wants revenge. He wants the boys dead, right? And then it goes into, a festive wedding scene. Woo, right? It's the, the Don's daughter's wedding. And, just continuing on, they talk about, there's Johnny Fontaine, he's singing, swooning all the women, all the girls, and then Michael goes into his backstory about how Don made him an offer he can't refuse, to the guy who signed Johnny Fontaine. And, so it's this constant back and forth, which is, another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie. It was really well done. I've seen other movies try to attempt it, very not well. Like I said, usually movies nowadays, I feel there's constant high intensity. It's just, you can't breathe. What do you think?
Yeah, I love like a quiet scene in a movie or TV show. So that's always great to have. I don't know about, it's a new trend nowadays to not have a second to breathe, but I think good films do that well, is pacing. So this is obviously a long film, but it doesn't feel that long, does it? It can feel long.
Yeah, there are parts where it does lull. Like one negative thing about the movie that I personally didn't like was that whole part where Michael, they hide him away in Italy and Sicily, and
he falls in love and has a wife, and
he falls in love
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah. He falls in love. He gets married. Yada yada, and then the wife gets killed. They find out, it's Michael Corleone's, wife. So the bad guys, or the bad gangsters, find out where he is. They want revenge. But that whole thing, honestly, they could have cut that out. I mean, they could have shown it a little bit. But all we really needed to know was Michael was, hidden away in Sicily. I don't think him getting married really did anything for the plot.
Yeah, no.
I mean, granted, I haven't read the original book.
I think it's just like a failure in the screenwriting to cut out unnecessary portions.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure it was better in the book.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't read the book. But like I said, was that whole thing, was it even really necessary?
No, I don't think anyone remembers that.
Yeah. Other than you with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
My mom was convinced that she was pregnant, and that was supposed to be like a bigger part of the story, was that he lost his first child. I don't have any idea if that's true or not. Also, we forgot to talk about our hats. It's our holiday episode, so we have our holiday hats on.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. So yeah, she was convinced, my mom was always convinced growing up that she was pregnant, and that's what made it so much more impactful, you know, because it's all about family. I don't know if she pulled that out of her ass or what, but...
Oh, yeah, once we got to the spoiler part, we're supposed to talk about how it impacted us as kids, and you're familiar. Sorry, we ran over that, but I wanted to just grade and get that part first.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had spoilers in that section.
No, I didn't. I just wanted to talk about, like, I grew up watching this. I'm sure you grew up watching this.
I did not grow up watching this. I didn't watch it until I was in high school. Like you're saying?
I guess I'm built different.
Like, built weird. You know, what parent lets their child watch this movie, you know, Godfather, you know, as a child?
So, yeah, I would be on the playground, like, kiss the hand. Like, I was like 7. Kids were like...
It's like that Rugrats movie in the beginning when they let Angelica watch The Godfather, and she's the Bob father with all the kids, all the babies.
Yeah, that was me. I've seen this movie my whole life, like, once a year at least. My parents were obsessed. My dad particularly was obsessed. I think a lot of immigrant fathers love gangster movies. I don't know a single, like, immigrant dad that doesn't love either gangster movies or action films. Probably because their English isn't as good. Or maybe it's because, you know, in Asian society, family, and then Italians, family. So, like, I don't know.
I feel like a big part of it is, you know, especially with immigrants, is they, you know, my family shows a family that can be successful in America without
having immigrated.
Not having that, because, you know, when we watch Godfather 2, you know, we see, you know, Don Vito Corleone, you know, immigrating, and, you know, his story of how it happened. But it's the idea that you can make something of yourself with nothing.
That classic American
Yeah, that classic dream. American dream. You know, it's like you don't even need an education. You know, like, you know, especially
just an illegal black market ring.
Yeah, just, you know, but he set that up himself. You know, and, you know, nowadays, you know, a lot of immigrant families, you know, they come to America, you know, they don't even have degrees. Or nowadays it might be a little bit different. But,
listen,
you know,
they still have degrees. They're just not
but, like,
acknowledged.
Like, my father, you know, he had to drop out of high school to support his family. You know, my mother, she didn't have a high school degree when they both came to America. And, you know, so that's something, you know, again, and also with the whole, like you were saying, the family, you know, patriarch, you know, leading, you know, strong man family leading the family. And
yeah, it's classic.
But yeah, so I think that's what really resonates. Me personally, you know, like I said, I didn't see the movie until, like, high school, and even, like, when I watched it, I was just, like, trying to watch, like, you know, those famous movies, you know, that I haven't seen. You know, Godfather, of course, was on the list, and, you know, that's, you know, I also saw, that's also when I saw, like, Shawshank Redemption, you know, the old Star Wars trilogy. What else is on here?
We get it.
Well, yeah, but, you know, that's when I came across The Godfather. And, but, you know, mob movies really stuck with me because of that whole familial, you know, family, do it for the family type.
Listen, your father thinks he's Vito Corleone, so.
My dad's probably the closest thing to Vito Corleone that we ever will meet. Random, but, so my dad, you know, he started his own business, and, you know, he did pretty well for himself. You know, he's in the ethnic hair care industry, and when we were young, you know, he'd always just have, like, wads of cash. And, you know, my older sister and I, when we were kids, we, like, talk about, like, is he doing, like, some gangster shit? Because, you know, you don't never see people just carrying, like, wads of cash.
That's also the immigrant style.
Yeah, that's but when you're kids,
right.
You're not thinking, ooh, the immigrant style. He never had like credit card. I mean, I'm sure he had credit card, but he never used them. If he ever went to the store with him or, things like that. Sometimes he'd be like laying on the floor, just like. And like when we'd massage him, and like money would just fall out of his pockets. We'd grab the money and like give it back to him. Of course, we didn't take nothing, but that's it was like wow.
That man also, if you've ever met him, acts straight up gangster. So
yeah, he's just like an old school alpha male,
big respect.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that he's like 6'1", 200, like 40 pounds. I mean, granted now he's starting to whittle away, but back in the day he had like these broad shoulders. But anyways, back to the movie.
Wait, speaking about that, sort of segues into it. I love how Marlon Brando is only 40 years old during the filming of this movie.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew that. I just found that out after researching the movie. I thought he was an old man. He was only 40 at the time. So, the makeup, special effects were really good. And they had put, like, a metal thing in his mouth to give him that, like, bulldog jowl that he has. And so good.
Yeah, I knew he was young, or younger, but I didn't realize he was 40.
He's only 40 years old.
That's really impressive. Wow.
Don't they make him look good?
Yeah.
I will say, there is a scene where Marlon Brando is talking, and they forgot to age his hands. So he's got, like, the, like, liver spots on his face, and he looks old, but he's got, like, a young man's hands, and I was watching it, and I was like, whoops. But besides that, wonderful job with the makeup.
I'm surprised they weren't nominated for best makeup. Was that a category back in the day?
I'm not sure if it was back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, they did a great job. I never in my life knew that Marlon Brando was that young. I always thought he was just this old dude. Which
is I guess that really goes into old school classic practical effects, which I always love. It's a shame it's gone away nowadays. If you've seen the movie The Irishman, terrible movie, don't watch it. Without it, I was really excited for it to have like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro,
all the old school,
all the old school mob movie for guys, right? And what they did was like they took the actors' faces.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, well, like all of them, right? All those guys.
Specifically, I hate Robert De Niro.
Well, Robert De Niro was the main character, so you saw him the most, right? And they put him on like bodies of like younger people, and it would look so bad. Turn down your volume a little bit. Hello. Yes, we have.
What's the gain?
The gain? I don't know, something there.
Ooh. Is this better?
Well,
Hi, Kyungmin.
No, that's Josh Park.
Oh, shit. My bad.
What were we talking about? Damn, I got distracted. We have a guest in our comments.
We were talking about The Irishman and how Robert De Niro looked. They like de-aged his face, and they gave him like they de-aged his face, but he kept his old man body is what it was. And so like Robert De Niro is like walking around like this, but he's got like a young person's face.
Yeah, and like there's like the scene. I distinctly remember the scene in The Irishman. And Josh, this mic does not have the ability to raise the volume specifically, so you kind of stuck with me. But yeah, there's a scene where Robert De Niro is supposed to be beating up some guy, right?
And he's just
he's like this old man. He's like kicking like right? And I'm just like, oh my god, this is so pitiful. Like they should. What I said earlier is what they should have done. They should have put the face on bodies of younger people.
They should have just hired a younger person, honestly.
Yeah.
It was so. I suspend reality pretty well in these films, but like watching this old man, like pretend to be a young gangster. It was just so sad. I was like, what was the point?
Yeah. Hold on. Move your mic a little more this way, Josh, so he can hear my voice. Yeah. Yeah, they should have just hired new people, but I think they just really wanted the big names to really draw draw tickets in, or it was on Netflix, get people to buy Netflix. You know what's the amazing part? Irishman was nominated for Best Picture. Yeah,
I could not finish that film.
I finished it. It was terrible. But kind of going into nominations and awards. The Godfather was nominated for 11 awards, won 4 of them. Right.
Wow.
So it won Best Picture, won Best Actor for Marlon Brando, Best Adapted Screenplay. Actually, it only won those 3. Sorry. But yeah, it was also nominated for Best Costume Design, Best Supporting Actor, and all 3 actors or supporting actors were nominated from what's it called? The Godfather. So Al Pacino, James Caan, and Robert Duvall. They're all nominated.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yep. Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Director, and Best Sound.
That score deserved
Best
original score.
Yeah, so there's actually technically it's nominated for 10 awards. I don't know if you guys know this. So the best score nomination was taken away because it was re-reviewed, and it was very similar to another score. The love theme from The Godfather found that the person that wrote it used a similar score in Eduardo De Filippo's 1958 comedy Fortunella, right? So after review of that, they actually they had a revote, and The Godfather no longer was nominated for best score.
Drama.
Yeah, so technically, originally it was nominated for 11, but historically it was only nominated for 10. And this particular awards was. Oh, thank you for liking our hats.
He's got a little Christmas. You probably can't see. He's got Christmas Santa hats.
Yeah. But kind of going into the whole, awards. This award show was a mess. I don't know if you know this. 45th Academy Awards.
I have no idea.
So Marlon Brando, he won Best Actor.
This one I know.
Yeah, so Marlon Brando, he actually sent a Native American woman, a very attractive Native American woman.
She was beautiful.
Right. When he won, he had a Native American woman go up to accept the award, and her speech was talking about the plight of the Native American people and how they were depicted in media, and how it was a big problem, and there needed to be change. And so Marlon Brando actually...
People did not like that.
Yeah, people were not happy with that, but...
They weren't as woke as they are now. if they said that today, it would be a standing ovation.
Yeah. Crazy how times have changed. And another fun thing was Al Pacino, even though he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor... Sorry, I was reading the comment. Al Pacino, even though he was awarded for Best Supporting Actor, he boycotted the award ceremony, and the reason for that was because Al Pacino believed that he should have been nominated for Best Actor,
which he should have,
because he argued that he had more screen time than Marlon Brando did. So he thought it was insulting that they just considered him a supporting actor, and so he actually boycotted the show. Granted, he didn't win, but I think the actor of Deliverance was came out that year. And was also nominated for Best Picture that year, was the winner of the Best Supporting Actor.
I agree, though. I think Al Pacino should have gotten the lead role.
No, I agree.
He should have been considered the lead role.
But they gave it to Marlon Brando. Granted, Marlon Brando deserved to win over Al Pacino if the two went head-to-head, in my opinion. Al Pacino did a really good job, but I thought Marlon Brando was better.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Yeah, Marlon Brando was amazing in that film.
Very good.
But yeah. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Something else I really liked about the film is the fact that these are mobsters, right? Even though it's a family, these are mobsters. They're evil people. they go out killing people, yeah, sure, Marlon Brando originally didn't want to do drugs, right? But, he didn't mind about prostitution, the gambling, murdering people when you had to, chopping a horse's head off just because, the guy didn't want Johnny Fontaine in the movie, right? These were not good people, right? But the movie did a really good job of making you feel for these evil people. It's like you wanted them to win. At least that's, the impression that I got, especially watching it for the first time, where I think a series that did not do a good job with that was, what's the show where he's Breaking Bad. They try to make Walter White a good person.
No, they didn't.
Well, that's what a lot of people believe. Like, Walter White is a good person, right?
If you believe that Walter White was a good person, you're wrong and you need to rewatch the show.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. He was not a good person.
He was never a good person.
But a lot of people thought he was a good person, like, after watching the show. I mean,
I will have to agree to disagree with that because I think they did do a good job. But anyway, I think it's a classic anti-hero story, so I don't think it's that.
Breaking Bad?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. The Godfather. You start rooting for the anti-hero. I think every gangster movie is kind of like that. Who doesn't want Scarface to win?
Yeah, but but again, like Breaking Bad, I did not want Walter White to win in the end. I was like, screw you, man.
That's because Walter White was terrible.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. See, but that's the difference between one that's good and one that's not so not so good. Going back to.
I mean, the whole story is about someone who doesn't want to be in the mob, someone who doesn't want to do these things.
Exactly.
But he's very good at it.
Yeah, that's the difference, or a very key difference that I love. Michael Corleone, he never wanted to be part of the family business. He kind of got sucked into it, kind of got stuck with it. His dad was shot.
Sonny died.
And Fredo was an idiot. And Tom Hagen, he was just a lawyer. You can't really, what is he gonna do? Law people to death? Michael Corleone was kind of stuck with it, and he was good at it. Where just reading the comments, whereas Walter White, he wanted to do those things. Like it was he did not make it no secret. He tried to keep it a secret, nothing. Like he did not want to be a teacher. Straight up, he wanted to be that rich, evil guy.
I don't think he wanted to be evil. He wanted notoriety. He wanted fame, fortune. He wanted everyone to know he was the smartest person in the room all the time.
Yeah, and it reminds me of Gladiator, right? When Marcus Aurelius is going up to Russell Crowe, Maximus, like, I need you to be the next emperor, right? And Maximus like, no, I don't want it. It shouldn't be me. And Emperor like, that's exactly why it needs to be you, because you're the only one that truly understands, and has the power and will to be able to do what needs to be done, which is, Michael Corleone. Sonny was too hot-headed, even if he stayed alive. Granted, he was going to be the next to take over, but yeah, he was way too hot-headed. And I said Fredo's an idiot. Connie's also a dumbass.
Also, she was a woman. They were never gonna.
Yeah, and she was a woman. That's a whole nother thing. But with classic patriarch and mob families, and but what are you gonna do?
Is Connie older than Michael?
I don't remember. Is Michael the youngest, or I know Fredo's the firstborn, and then Sonny.
Oh, Fredo is the oldest.
Fredo is the firstborn.
Really, Sonny is younger.
Yeah, Sonny is the second, and then they adopted Tom Hagen, which is assumed that he's the same age as Sonny. I mean, I'm sure we could look this up. And I don't know between Michael and Connie. But
she was never gonna be.
Yeah, she was never gonna be the next mob boss. Even if she was the perfect like, again, in Maximus, right? Marcus Aurelius says to his daughter, "If only you had been born a man, what a Caesar you would have been." So, what are you gonna do? But yeah, going in, but let's circle back to the movie. Speaking of Michael Corleone and, what he had to do for the family, something that never made sense to me, was the fact that, he comes home after, just getting married, right? And, his wife died, right? And then he comes home and wants to marry Kay right away, right? Like, the best thing I can think of is like, oh no, he just lost his wife, right? So he doesn't want to lose Kay. He wants to get married to her, all those emotions running and everything. That's like the best, I can think of. But even then, with that like mindset, it's like, he was he grew up in a mob family. He was a soldier in World War II. Or, no, not World War II. Korean, or I forget which war it was.
I think it was World War II.
Yeah, it had to be World War II, right? Yeah, he was fighting Nazis. Like, he should have realized much sooner that, he could die, or, anyone could die at any second, right? So that whole thing goes out the window if you think of it from that perspective. So like I said, if they just like had him go away from Sicily for like a year, right? And didn't show any of those scenes, right, about him getting married and all that. And like he comes home, it's like he realized how much he loved Kay because he was away from her for a year. That would have made so much more sense.
I agree. I think so.
Yeah. So again, they just didn't need that. It would have saved like 30 minutes from the film, and not be over 2 hours. What is it, like 2.5 hours long?
It's a long film.
Yeah, it's a really long movie. But yeah, so but what else? I mean, did you have any other thoughts?
Let's see.
I mean, I got a couple more, but I didn't want to take up all. I don't know.
I think visually it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Tone, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great for setting time. It's a great period piece.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think every mob movie wants to be the Godfather.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to point out. Because they're all trying to be the next Godfather. And there have been some good mobster movies.
I think that's why The Sopranos is so good, is because it's not trying to be the Godfather.
Even when Tony Soprano, he's like off golfing with people or something, right? And he's like out with like legitimate businessmen, right? And one of them, it's like kind of like joking around with Tony, right? Because he knows Tony's a mobster, and he goes, "Hey, so like the Godfather, is it really like that?" And Tony's like, "What the fuck?" Tony's getting upset. But yeah, they made it their own. They knew it wasn't. They were never gonna be the next Godfather. They knew that, but they wanted their own thing, and that's what I loved about The Sopranos. The Sopranos is a great series if you haven't watched it. HBO series. Sorry,
Where was I?
Visually it was beautiful. The script, great.
I'll still love the soundtrack because I've never seen Fortunella.
No, the soundtrack was good. It was great.
It just sticks in your mind,
Yeah.
So good. And there's so much like quotable lines that just stick with you too.
Look
Make
how they
him an
massacred
offer.
my boy.
You can't refuse.
Yeah, make him an offer you can't refuse.
I love America. I come.
Oh, and speaking of iconic scenes, I love that scene at the end, when
That's
Kay
my favorite scene.
and Michael
too.
are talking, and it's just like,
One time
Kay
I let
wants-
you ask about my business.
one
time.
and he still lies to her. Granted, Connie's husband was a piece of shit. I probably would have killed him if he beat my sister like that multiple times.
Imagine having the balls to beat on your wife knowing that she's the daughter of a mobster.
Yeah, like in the comments, he says he hasn't seen the movie, but he knows that scene. Like,
Josh, you haven't seen it?
yeah, that's surprising that you haven't seen it. I have them on DVD if you ever want to borrow it. But yeah, it's just an iconic scene, and then it's like one time, I'll ask you about my business, and he lies to her, right? And then the door closes on him, and the movie's over.
No, he's shaking the hand.
Yeah, shaking the hands.
He's shaking the hands, and they're all like kissing his hand. And she looks at him, and she's realizing that he just looked at her, and he lied to her.
Yeah.
And the door's closed, and
that's what. Yeah, she realized he was lying to her this whole time. That was a lie, and just that like that acknowledgement that she knew he was lying. You know. Other movies,
without having to say anything.
Yeah, just just pure acting, just pure tone, and what's the word I'm looking for?
Show don't tell.
Yeah, show don't tell. Oh crap, I can't remember the word I'm looking for.
I'm not sure.
Not setting, not tone, atmosphere. That atmosphere. Just raw truth, and. Yeah, it was just great. Like
great opening scene, great ending scene.
Yeah, both very simple, very impactful, really strong,
and both in the same room.
Ooh, you're right. They both did happen in the exact same room. Ooh, now that's good.
Ooh.
Because
it's the passing on of the new Godfather.
Yeah.
Or the Bobfather.
Yeah, which is something I really enjoyed. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Where are you going? Well, now that I'm on my own, I haven't prepared anything. John's using the restroom. What can I say about The Godfather that hasn't already been said? This was a little intimidating because every great critic has gone through and talked about this movie series. So it's like, what can you say that hasn't already been said a million times? But look at those notes, though. Yeah. These are John's notes, so I can't even, say these things because he's going to be mad at me for taking his notes away from him. So, whale. Oh, fun fact. The director, Francis Ford Coppola? I'm not sure. He is uncle to Nick Cage. And I think he's the father of Sofia Coppola, who wrote the Virgin Suicides, and she also directed the Marie Antoinette movie, and she also has a great aesthetic that I really love. So
sorry, I really had to.
I was floundering, John.
What's the last thing you said before?
I was talking about fun fact. The director is Nick Cage's uncle.
No, you said something. Just like the idea of, this is a very famous movie, what can we say that hasn't been said before? Nick Cage's talent is hereditary. I don't want to go that far, but, I think, some of the hot takes that we said were, there were low points. The movie's not perfect. Even though, I've met plenty of people who said this is like one of the most perfect movies, and number 2 is even more perfect, and
I do prefer number 1 to number 2.
I also prefer number 1 over 2. I'm one of the very few people who comply with that ideology. I don't know how else to describe it.
Josh Park, if you do decide to watch The Godfather, feel free to skip number 3.
Oh, yes.
It's garbage.
So number 3 is not garbage, per se. It is not nearly as good as 1 and 2. I would give it maybe like a D+, maybe C- on a good day. But yeah, there's all these jokes, just like even in media, just talking about like how Godfather 3 is not is not good.
I don't think it's on our list, right?
Yeah, it's not on the list.
It doesn't make the 100.
Yeah, 1 and 2 make the list, but not number 3.
Yeah.
Even like there's like the scene in The Simpsons when Bart and Milhouse are in charge of the comic book store. They find this secret room with like all these secret movies, and they're going to the movies. And at one point, Bart pulls out one movie and says, "Godfather Part 3, good version." But yeah, like I said, number 3 is definitely not worth watching.
Yeah, it's a huge time skip. There's this awful quote, and I hate it so much. Basically,
The first cousin?
Michael Corleone's daughter is in love with her first cousin, and she sees no problems in this, right? And Michael is talking to her, and he's like, "Why do you have to be with him? That's your first cousin. That's nasty." And she goes, "What did she say?"
She said, "Well, if he's my first cousin, then I love him first."
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Like, everything is so much. Anyway, just don't watch the third one. You don't need to.
Yeah. Just kind of last note that I had that I personally love was, Don Corleone's death, which I'm sure plenty of people have talked about. But this is a big mob boss, and everything he did was for his family, right? And he dies in a very almost peaceful way. He was playing with his grandson in the garden, and is chasing him, playing with him, and he just kind of like falls over. He has like a heart attack or something, or something. His heart gives out or something, and he's telling his like little grandson like, "Hey, go call someone," right? And his grandson's still trying to like play with him. The grandson has no idea what's going on. But it really reminded me of one of my favorite poems by T.S. Eliot, and the last line, very famous. I'm sure you've all heard it. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. And it's just like I said, everyone just wants like this big, like heroic death, for like these big players, which I was not always a fan of. It doesn't make sense. It's not practical.
Well, I think it goes to show, like, if you're a good mob boss, if you're successful, you're gonna get to die a chill, death. If you're bad, you're about to get murdered.
Yeah, that's actually a line in The Sopranos. Tony's talking about how, mob bosses, they always die young. They get, they're caught in jail, they get shot they get killed by the mobsters, and Tony was looking for a way to, outlast, be that old mob guy, and he heard about this one mob guy who made it to like 87 years old and how he did it, and Tony tried to do that. Unfortunately, the guy he picked to help him do that was an idiot and a coke addict, but, he wasn't an idiot. He kind of was an idiot, but the main issue was that he was a coke addict, so... Like I said, there's not much you can do at that point. But yeah, so... Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about the movie. Like I said again, 9 cupcakes out of 10.
9.2 cupcakes out of 10.
Yeah. These episodes will be saved and up... I'm sorry, did you want to say anything else?
I got nothing.
Okay.
You're good.
Sorry. These episodes will be uploaded on our new YouTube channel. We have not created it yet, so it will be soon.
Maybe I'll get a cupcake hat.
A cupcake hat? I was saying we should eat cupcakes, but...
Wow, that sounds ideal.
Yeah. So our next movie, hopefully we can try to, bang these out once per week. And of course there's holidays coming up and whatnot, so we might not be on top of it 100%. But the next movie we are planning to do is Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
And then after that, we'll roll back to Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I saw this list. I'm pretty excited for it.
It's pretty modern. It's got some new stuff.
Yeah, certain movies on here, though, I've seen. I was like, why? But... what are you gonna do? So,
Gotta watch them.
I gotta watch them. Well, thank you so much for watching, and for those of you who joined us live, thank you again.
Josh Park, looking at you.
Josh Park, and I think he said his sister was also watching.
What's his sister's name?
Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Grace Park. Interestingly enough, that's my mom's name.
I know
White
a
name.
Grace Park too.
Oh, hey, look.
I went to high school. There's a lot of them.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. Until next time, this is Cupcakes and Hot Takes with Maral and John.
Bye.
Bye.